Fairy Piggy Pig.
In a cozy cottage nestled at the edge of a lush forest, there lived a kind-hearted baker named Mr. Crumbly and his loving wife, Mrs. Sweet Pea. They had 7 mischievous sons who were always up to some playful tricks. The boys loved to run through the village, climb trees, and splash in the nearby stream. Their laughter echoed through the air, bringing joy to everyone who heard it. One sunny morning, Mrs. Sweet Pea woke up feeling a bit under the weather. She had a tickle in her throat and her nose was all stuffy. Mr. Crumbly decided to make her some warm soup to help her feel better. As he stirred the pot, he realized they were out of fresh herbs from their garden. "Boys," he called out to his sons, who were playing in the yard, "I need your help. Could you please go to the garden and pick some rosemary for Mommy's soup?" The 7 brothers looked at each other and grinned. They loved helping their parents, but they also loved to play. "Sure, Dad," they chorused, but as soon as Mr. Crumbly turned his back, they started a game of tag instead. Meanwhile, in the same village, there lived a wise old woman named Granny Whispers. She had long, silvery hair and eyes that twinkled with magic. Granny Whispers knew all sorts of spells and could talk to the animals in the forest. She often helped the villagers with her magic, but she also knew that magic should be used carefully. As the day went on, Mr. Crumbly kept asking his sons to fetch the rosemary, but they always found an excuse to keep playing. The soup bubbled on the stove, and Mrs. Sweet Pea's sniffles grew worse. Mr. Crumbly began to worry that the soup wouldn't be ready in time to help his wife feel better. Little did the family know that their lives were about to change in a most unexpected way. The sun began to set, painting the sky in beautiful shades of orange and pink. It was then that Granny Whispers felt a strange tingle in her fingers, a sign that magic was in the air. She looked out her window towards the baker's cottage, sensing that something extraordinary was about to happen. As the evening shadows grew longer, Mr. Crumbly called out to his sons one last time. "Boys, please, we really need that rosemary for your mother's soup. It's getting late." The 7 brothers, tired from their day of play, finally decided to go to the garden. But day as they stepped outside. They began to argue about who should pick the herbs. "You do it," said the oldest. "No, you," replied the second. "I'm too tired." And the third. Their bickering grew louder and louder until Mr. Crumbly, frustrated and worried about his wife, shouted from the window, "Oh, I wish you would all turn into crows." Suddenly, a gust of wind swept through the garden. The boys' laughter turned into startled caws as feathers sprouted from their arms. In the blink of an eye, where 7 boys had stood, now perched 7 black crows, Mr. Crumbly gasped in horror, realizing what his hasty words had done. He ran outside, calling for his sons, but the crows flapped their wings and flew away into the darkening sky. Inside the cottage, Mrs. Sweet Pea heard the commotion and came to the window. When she saw the crows flying away and her husband's distraught face, she knew something terrible had happened. "Oh, my dear," she cried. "What have we done, mister?" Crumbly, with tears in his eyes, explained how his angry wish had transformed their beloved sons. Mrs. Sweet Pea's heart broke, and she forgot all about her illness as she and her husband held each other, wondering how they could undo this magical mishap. Meanwhile, Granny Whispers felt the surge of magic from her cottage. She grabbed her walking stick and hurried towards the baker's home, knowing her help would be needed. As night fell, the 7 Crow brothers found themselves lost in the deep, dark forest. They huddled together on a high branch, confused and scared. They could still understand each other, but their human voices had been replaced by caws and squawks. "What are we going to do?" asked the youngest, his feathers ruffling in the cool night air. "We need to find a way to become human again," said the oldest, trying to sound brave for his brothers. As they pondered their fate, a twinkling light appeared in the distance. It was coming from Granny Whisper's cottage, deep in the heart of the forest. The crows, drawn to the warm glow, decided to fly towards it, hoping to find help. Back at the baker's cottage, Mr. Crumbly and Mrs. Sweet Pea sat by the window, their hearts heavy with sorrow. The soup pot stood forgotten on the stove, its contents now cold and untouched. Mrs. Sweet Pea's illness seemed insignificant compared to the loss of their children. "Oh, my dear boys," Mrs. Sweet Pea whispered, her voice trembling. If only we could hold them one more time. Tell them how much we love them, mister. Crumbly nodded, his eyes brimming with tears. I never meant for this to happen. I was just so worried about you and frustrated with their disobedience. If I could take back those words, I would in a heartbeat. As they sat in silence, memories of their sons filled their minds. They remembered the sound of their laughter, the pitter-patter of their feet running through the house, and the warmth of their hugs. Each recollection brought both joy and pain, knowing that those moments might never come again. In the forest, the 7 Crow brothers huddled closer together as they flew towards the twinkling light. Despite their new feathered forms, their bond as brothers remained strong. The oldest crow led the way, determined to protect his younger siblings. I'm scared, chirped the youngest crow, his little wings trembling. Don't worry, went the second oldest. We're all here together. We'll figure this out. As they flew, they thought about their parents back home. They imagined how worried and sad they must be, and guilt washed over them for not helping when asked. They realized how much they took their family for granted and longed to be back in their warm, loving home. Do you think Mom and Dad still love us? Asked the middle crow, his voice filled with uncertainty. Of course they do, replied the oldest firmly. They're probably looking for us right now. We just need to find a way to let them know we're okay. The brothers' hearts swelled with love for their parents and determination to find a way back to them. They realized that being together as a family was far more important than any game or mischief they could get into. As they neared Granny Whisper's cottage, a mix of hope and fear filled their little crow hearts. But this mysterious light led them to a solution, or to more danger. Despite their apprehension, they knew they had to be brave and face whatever lay ahead together. In that moment, flying through the dark forest, the 7 brothers felt a strength they had never known before. They weren't just siblings anymore, they were a team, united in their quest to become human again and return to their loving parents. As the 7 Crow brothers approached Granny Whisper's cottage, they saw the old woman standing in her garden, as if she had been expecting them. Her silver hair glowed in the moonlight, and her kind eyes twinkled with understanding. Welcome, little ones, called out softly, "I've been waiting for you." The crows landed on the fence surrounding her garden. "Should you garden?" cawing nervously. Granny Whispers smiled and waved her hand, casting a gentle spell that allowed her to understand their crow speak. "We were turned into crows by accident," explained the oldest brother. "Can you help us become human again?" Granny Whispers nodded slowly. "I can help, but the magic that changed you is strong. It will take great love and sacrifice to break the spell. Meanwhile, Mr. Crumbly and Mrs. Sweet Pea had set out into the night, searching for their sons. They called out into the darkness, their voices hoarse with worry and hope. As they wandered deeper into the forest, they saw a faint light in the distance. Granny Whispers' cottage. Back at the cottage, Granny Whispers explained to the Crow brothers, "To break this spell, you need someone who loves you deeply to recognize you in your crow form and be willing to sacrifice something precious for you." The brothers looked at each other, their beady eyes wide with concern. How would their parents ever recognize them as crows? Just then, they heard familiar voices calling out in the forest. "It's Mom and Dad!" Howet, the youngest, excitedly. Granny Whispers smiled. "Go to them. If their love is true, they will know you." The 7 crows flew towards the sound of their parents' voices, when Mr. Crumbly and Mrs. Sweet Pea saw the flock of crows approaching. They were initially startled. But as the birds drew closer, something stirred in their hearts. Mrs. Sweet Pea gasped, "Oh, my darlings, is it really you?" The crows cawed joyfully, circling their parents. Mr. Crumbly felt tears well up in his eyes as he recognized the unique personalities of each crow: the protective oldest, the mischievous twins, the curious middle child, and the playful younger ones. "What must we do to bring them back?" Mr. Crumbly asked, his voice filled with determination. Granny Whispers appeared from the shadows. "To break the spell, you must be willing to give up something you treasure dearly." Without hesitation, Mrs. Sweet Pea removed her wedding ring, a family heirloom passed down for generations. Mr. Crumbly took off his prized pocket watch, a gift from his own father. "We give up everything for our children," they said in unison, placing the items in Granny Whispers' outstretched hands. The old woman smiled, touched by their love. She waved her hands over the treasured objects, which began to glow with a soft, golden light. The light enveloped the 7 crows, lifting them gently into the air. Oh my goodness! Can you believe what's happening? I'm so excited to see what happens next, aren't you? Let's all hold our breath together as we watch the golden lights around the 7 Crow Brothers. Can you imagine how their hearts must be racing? I bet Mr. Crumbly and Mrs. Sweet Pia are feeling so many things right now. Hope, love, and maybe a little bit of worry too. Have you ever felt like that before? It's okay if you have, because sometimes big changes can make us feel all sorts of emotions. Now close your eyes for a moment and picture the forest around them. Can you hear the rustling of leaves and the soft hooting of owls? Can you feel the cool night air on your skin? It's almost like we're right there with them, isn't it? I wonder what the brothers are thinking as they float in that magical light. Do you think they're scared or excited? Maybe a little bit of both. Let's send them some brave thoughts to help them through this magical moment. Can you do that with me? Take a deep breath and think really hard about being brave and strong. Oh, look! Something's starting to happen. The light is getting brighter and brighter and brighter. What do you think will happen next? Let's keep watching and find out together. As the golden light fades, we see the 7 brothers, now back in their human forms, hugging their parents tightly. Everyone is crying happy tears and laughing with joy. Granny Whispers smiles warmly, knowing her magic has helped bring this family back together. The forest around them seems to sigh with contentment, the trees rustling gently in the night breeze. The stars twinkle brightly overhead, as if celebrating this magical moment. Now, as we leave this wonderful story behind, it's time for us to close our eyes and drift off to sleep. Imagine you're lying in a soft, just like the one the 7 brothers will sleep in tonight. Feel how warm and comfortable you are. Take a deep breath in and slowly let it out. With each breath, feel yourself sinking deeper into relaxation. Think about all the love you saw in the story, the parents' love for their children, the brothers' love for each other. Let that warm feeling of love surround you like a soft blanket. As you drift off to sleep, picture the twinkling stars above Granny Whisper's cottage. Count them slowly in your mind, letting each one carry you further into peaceful slumber. Sweet dreams, and may your night be filled with magical adventures and happy endings. Fairy Piggy Pig.